Admiral Hyun-sik stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship, watching Mars rotate slowly through the massive viewport. The red planet looked peaceful in the early morning light. He held a cup of coffee in his hands, still warm, still bitter. It was 6 a.m. Earth Standard Time. The communication alert sounded, not the usual ping. This was different. This was the emergency frequency that every human ship, station, and colony across the solar system could hear at once. "Sir, incoming transmission," said Lieutenant Daeho from the communication station. His voice was tight. "It's from the Galactic Council. Priority Alpha. They're broadcasting to every human facility simultaneously." Hyun-sik set down his coffee. He had been expecting this for years. Maybe not today, maybe not this week, but he had known it would come eventually. "Put it through," he said. The viewport dimmed. A hologram appeared in the center of the bridge. It showed Counselor Vrix, the avian leader of the Galactic Alliance. His feathers were bright blue and gold, his eyes were large and dark, and his beak was sharp. He looked down at the camera with the same expression he always wore when dealing with humans. Disgust mixed with superiority. "Humans of Earth," Vrix began. His translator made his voice sound cold and mechanical. "The Galactic Council has reached a unanimous decision. After 47 years of observation, we have concluded that your species poses an unacceptable threat to galactic stability." Around the bridge, officers stopped what they were doing. Everyone was listening now. "Your aggressive expansion into unclaimed systems, your unpredictable nature, and your disturbing history of violence against your own kind have forced our hand. Therefore, the Galactic Alliance hereby declares a state of correction. You will surrender all colony worlds, all military vessels, and all advanced technology within 6 hours. You will return to your home planet and accept Alliance supervision. Failure to comply will result in the complete liquidation of your species." The hologram showed numbers and coordinates. The Alliance fleet was already moving. 40,000 warships. They were spreading out across the outer solar system, moving inward in a standard overwhelming force formation. They expected humanity to panic. They expected surrender or desperate flight. "You have until noon, Earth Standard Time, to respond with your total and unconditional surrender. This is your only warning. This is your only chance." The hologram vanished. Silence filled the bridge. It lasted exactly 3 seconds. "Well," Hyun-sik said quietly. He picked up his coffee and took another sip. "I suppose they've made their position clear." "Sir?" Lieutenant Daeho looked pale. 40,000 ships. We have maybe 3,000 in the entire solar system. They outnumber us 13 to 1. 14 to 1, corrected Commander Jiwon from the tactical station. She was already running calculations, her fingers moving across holographic displays. "Their ships are larger too. More firepower per vessel. By standard military doctrine, we should surrender immediately." Hyun-sik smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had been waiting for this moment for decades and was almost relieved it had finally arrived. "Standard military doctrine," he repeated. "Their standard military doctrine? Not ours." He turned to face his crew. "How many of you remember why I was chosen to command this fleet?" No one answered. They all knew. Everyone in the Earth Defense Force knew Admiral Hyun-sik's history. He had fought in the resource wars. He had commanded ground forces during the worst fighting Earth had ever seen. He had won battles that everyone said were impossible to win. He had done things that peacetime politicians preferred not to talk about. "I was chosen," Hyun-sik continued, "because the people who built this fleet knew that one day someone would try to do exactly this. They knew the Galactic Alliance didn't respect us. They knew that our allies saw us as primitives who got lucky and stumbled into space travel. They knew that eventually the Alliance would decide we were inconvenient." He walked to the center of the bridge. "Communications. Send a message to every human vessel, station, and colony in the solar system. One phrase. Protocol Midnight Sun." "Sir?" Daeho's hands hesitated over his console. "Protocol Midnight Sun? I don't have that in any of my—" "You wouldn't," Hyun-sik interrupted. "It's not in any official database. It was never written down. It was passed verbally to every ship captain, every station commander, every colony governor. They've been waiting to hear those words for 47 years. Send it now." Daeho sent the message. Within seconds, responses started coming back. Acknowledgements, confirmations, no questions, no panic. Just cold, professional readiness. Dr. Minji entered the bridge from the research section. She was carrying a data tablet and looked almost excited. "Admiral, I've been monitoring the Alliance fleet's communication network. They're not even encrypting properly. They think we're too primitive to intercept their signals. What are they saying? Hyunsik asked. They're bored, Minji said with a strange smile. They're complaining about having to come all the way to Sol System for what they're calling pest control. Some of them are betting on whether we'll surrender in 1 hour or 2. None of them think we'll fight. Perfect, Hyunsik said. The best enemy is an overconfident enemy. Commander Jiwon looked up from her tactical display. Sir, if we're really doing this, we need to be clear about what we're doing. This isn't a battle. This isn't a war. If we activate Midnight Sun, this becomes extermination. Ours or theirs. I know exactly what this is, Hyunsik replied. His voice was hard now, cold. The Galactic Alliance declared war at dawn. They gave us 6 hours to surrender. They threatened to liquidate our entire species. He looked at each officer on the bridge. We didn't start this. We tried for 47 years to be good members of their alliance. We followed their rules. We accepted their condescension. We smiled while they treated us like children. And this is how they repay us. He turned back to the viewport. The Alliance fleet was visible now as tiny dots of light against the black. Thousands of them, moving closer. They think we're weak because we're young, Hyunsik said. They think we're primitives because we only recently developed faster than light travel. They looked at our history, saw all our wars, and assumed we were savages who would be easy to control or easy to eliminate. He paused. They never asked themselves why a species that unified its planet did so through centuries of total warfare. They never wondered what we learned from all that killing. Outside, the first Alliance ships were crossing the orbit of Neptune. They were maintaining formation, following their doctrine, broadcasting demands for surrender. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Captain Taeyang's voice came through the communication system. He was somewhere out near Jupiter, hiding in the shadow of Europa with his stealth corvette squadron. Admiral, we have target lock on the Vanguard. 312 enemy vessels in range. Awaiting your order. Hyunsik finished his coffee. He set the cup down carefully on the armrest of his command chair. He sat down, crossed his legs, and spoke in a voice that was almost conversational. All units, this is Admiral Hyunsik. Protocol Midnight Sun is now active. Rules of engagement are simple. No prisoners, no mercy, no survivors. The Galactic Alliance wanted to exterminate us. Instead, we're going to remind them why Earth conquered itself 7 times over. He leaned forward. All units weapons free. Show them what humanity really is. The bridge went silent. Then slowly, tactical displays began to light up. Not with 3,000 human ships. With 30,000. All the hidden vessels. All the secret installations. All the weapons that had been built and concealed for 47 years. Everything that humanity had prepared while pretending to be weak and grateful and harmless. The trap was ready. And the prey had walked right into it. Captain Taeyang checked his instruments one more time. Everything was ready. His stealth corvette, the Silent Phoenix, sat in the shadow of Europa, completely invisible to the Alliance fleet sensors. Behind him, 311 other corvettes waited in the same darkness. They had been here for 6 months, rotating crews, waiting for this exact moment. Target confirmed, said his co-pilot, Lieutenant Borum. Her voice was steady, professional. Alliance Vanguard, distance 2 million kilometers. They're still in standard formation, no evasive maneuvers, no combat readiness protocols. Taeyang almost felt sorry for them. Almost. Then he remembered the transmission from Counselor Vrix, the threat of liquidation, the casual way they had announced humanity's extinction as if it were a simple administrative task. Railgun spooling up, Borum continued. Projectile loaded. Tungsten rod, mass 5 kilograms, target velocity 0.4 c, 40% of light speed. Taeyang still couldn't believe the physics worked. When Dr. Minji had first proposed these weapons 5 years ago, half the scientists on Earth had said it was impossible. The other half had said it was insane. Turned out it was both, and it worked anyway. Admiral Hyunsik's voice came through on the secured channel. All units, weapons free. Firing, Taeyang said. He pressed the trigger. The railgun was silent. There was no sound in space anyway, but Taeyang had expected to feel something. A vibration, a recoil, something. Instead, there was just a slight flicker on his power display as enormous energy was released in a fraction of a second. 5 kilograms of tungsten, accelerated to 40% of light speed, carried more kinetic energy than a nuclear weapon. It crossed 2 million kilometers in less than 3 seconds. The Alliance ship never knew what hit it. One moment it was there. The next moment it was a rapidly expanding cloud of debris and vapor. The tungsten rod had punched through the shields, through the hull, through the reactor, and out the other side. The ship had been deleted from existence. Target destroyed, Borum said calmly. Reloading. Next target acquired. All around them, 311 other corvettes fired. 311 Alliance ships vanished. The entire vanguard was gone in less than 5 seconds. All units fade back, Taeyang ordered. New positions. Don't let them triangulate our location. The corvettes dispersed, moving to new hiding spots among Jupiter's moons. The Alliance fleet was already reacting, but they were confused. They didn't understand what had just happened. Their sensors couldn't detect the weapons, couldn't track the projectiles, couldn't see the attackers. On the Indomitable, Dr. Minji watched her display with satisfaction. The virus is deploying, she told Admiral Hyunsik. Their communication network is compromised. They won't be able to coordinate effectively. For 47 years, Minji had been studying Alliance technology. Every ship that visited Earth, every diplomatic exchange, every trade agreement. She had been quietly, carefully, and visibly mapping their entire technological infrastructure, and she had found the weakness. The Alliance used a quantum-entangled communication network. Instant communication across any distance, completely secure, impossible to hack. Except Minji had spent decades learning how it worked, and she had discovered something the Alliance had never considered. The network wasn't just for communication. It was also used for coordination, for identification, for fleet management, and now it was being used to spread her virus. Infection rate at 40%, Minji reported. 50%. 60%. They're trying to shut down the network, but it's too late. The virus is in their core systems now. Hyunsik watched the tactical display. Thousands of Alliance ships were suddenly showing incorrect positions. Some were being flagged as hostile. Others were disappearing from sensors entirely. The beautiful formation was dissolving into chaos. Phase 2, Hyunsik said. Commander Jiwon, activate the asteroids. Jiwon's fingers danced across her console. Activating belt network. All engines online. Beginning acceleration sequences. For 20 years, human mining operations in the asteroid belt had been installing something extra on select asteroids. Drive systems, navigation computers, targeting sensors. The Alliance had seen the mining operations and never questioned them. Why would they? Humans were a young species, eagerly exploiting their system's resources. Nothing suspicious about that. Except now, 2,000 asteroids were lighting their engines. Each one was between 500,000 and 2 million tons of rock and metal, and they were all accelerating toward carefully calculated intercept points with Alliance fleet concentrations. Time to first impact, 18 minutes, Jiwon reported. The Alliance is detecting the acceleration. They're confused. They don't understand what they're seeing. Let them figure it out, Hyunsik said. By the time they do, it'll be too late to matter. Aboard the Alliance command ship, Counselor Vrix was indeed confused. The battle was already going wrong, and he didn't understand how. The Vanguard had been destroyed by weapons he couldn't identify. The communication network was malfunctioning, and now his sensors were showing asteroids accelerating toward his fleet. Evasive maneuvers, he ordered. Move the fleet out of the projected impact zones. But his fleet wasn't responding properly. Some ships acknowledged the order. Others didn't receive it. Still others received contradictory orders from the corrupted network. The formation, which had taken hours to organize, was falling apart. Humans are attacking, someone shouted. Multiple contacts! They're everywhere. That wasn't quite true. There weren't that many human ships, but they were moving fast, hitting hard, and disappearing before the Alliance could respond. Stealth corvettes emerged from hiding spots throughout the solar system, fired their devastating railguns, and vanished again. Every shot was a kill. Every attack was perfectly coordinated. And then the asteroids arrived. The first one hit an Alliance cruiser that was too slow to move. 2 million tons of rock, traveling at 300 kilometers per second. The cruiser's shields lasted exactly as long as it took for the asteroid to touch them. Then both the shield and the ship ceased to exist. The asteroid barely slowed down. It continued through the formation, its trajectory calculated to pass through the maximum number of ships. It destroyed 7 vessels before its momentum was finally absorbed by impacts and defensive fire. But by then, 1,999 more asteroids were arriving. "Fall back," Vrick screamed. "Retreat. All ships retreat to Rally Point Delta." But the virus in the network was getting worse. Some ships received the retreat order. Others received orders to advance. Still others received nothing at all. The Alliance fleet, which had entered Sol System with such confidence, was dissolving into a panicked mob. Taeyang watched from his Corvette and felt nothing. No triumph. No satisfaction. Just cold professional focus. He had already destroyed 8 Alliance ships. His railgun was reloaded and ready for number 9. "They're trying to regroup near Saturn," Borum said. "Looks like about 5,000 ships concentrating there." "Perfect," Taeyang said. "That's where Admiral Hyun-sik predicted they'd go. The Saturn defense grid should be activating right about now." The Saturn defense grid was another surprise. Floating in the rings of Saturn, camouflaged among billions of ice particles, were 3,000 autonomous weapons platforms. Each one was small, simple, and cheap to build. Each one carried a single missile with a fusion warhead. When 5,000 Alliance ships concentrated near Saturn, the platforms activated. 3,000 missiles launched simultaneously, accelerating to attack speed before the Alliance even knew they were there. The weapons platforms had no crews, no life support, no complex systems, just a missile, a drive, and a simple computer programmed to identify Alliance ships and destroy them. They were suicide weapons, one-shot disposable killers. They were also devastatingly effective. In 30 seconds, 5,000 Alliance ships became 3,000 Alliance ships. In another 30 seconds, 3,000 became 1,000. The survivors scattered, abandoning their rally point, fleeing in every direction. "Pursuit?" Ji-won asked. Hyun-sik shook his head. "Not yet. Let them run. Let them spread out. Then we'll hunt them in smaller groups." He looked at the tactical display. "How many have we destroyed so far?" "Confirmed kills 8,214, Ji-won replied. "Probable kills another 1,200. Damaged and fleeing, unknown. Conservative estimate says we've eliminated or disabled at least quarter of their fleet in the last 2 hours. And our losses?" Hyun-sik asked. 47 ships. Mostly older vessels we deliberately placed as targets to draw their fire. 47 human ships. 8,000 Alliance ships. The mathematics was brutal. The mathematics was clear. The Alliance had underestimated humanity in every possible way. "Open a channel," Hyun-sik said. "All Alliance ships, all frequencies. I want them to hear this." Daeho worked his console. "Channel open, sir." Hyun-sik spoke clearly and slowly. "This is Admiral Hyun-sik of the Earth Defense Force. You declared war on humanity at dawn. You threatened to liquidate our species. You gave us 6 hours to surrender. It's been 2 hours. We're not surrendering. We're not fleeing. We're destroying you. Every ship. Every fleet. Every trace of your invasion force. And when we're done, we're coming to Alliance space." Fleet Commander Ji-won stood in the tactical center of the Indomitable, surrounded by holographic displays showing the battle across the entire solar system. She had been asked to explain to the younger officers why humanity was winning so decisively, why the Alliance, with all their technological advantages and numerical superiority, was being destroyed by a species they considered primitive. "Watch this recording," she said, pulling up footage from the Battle of Verdun. This was in 1916 Earth year, before we had computers, before we had nuclear weapons, before we even had spaceflight. The hologram showed trenches, mud, barbed wire, men charging into machine gun fire, artillery bombardments that lasted for days, hundreds of thousands of soldiers dying for a few hundred meters of ground. The young officers watched in horrified silence. "This battle lasted 10 months, Ji-won continued. Over 700,000 casualties. Both sides kept fighting even when everyone knew the position was strategically worthless. They fought because stopping meant admitting all those deaths were for nothing." She changed the display. "This is Dresden. This is Hiroshima. This is the resource wars. Each image was worse than the last. Cities turned to ash, populations deleted, entire regions made uninhabitable for generations. The officers looked sick. The Galactic Alliance looks at these images and sees savagery," Ji-won said. "They see a species that's too violent, too dangerous, too unpredictable to be allowed to survive. They're right about one thing. We are dangerous, but they misunderstood why. She pulled up a new display showing Alliance military doctrine. The Alliance fights according to established rules, formations, protocols, honorable combat between designated military forces. When they go to war, only their soldiers fight. Their civilians continue their lives. Their economy stays peaceful. War for them is something separate from society. She changed the display to show Earth's military structure. Humanity doesn't separate war from society. We can't. We learned a long time ago that total war requires total commitment. When we fight, everyone fights. Our factories convert to war production. Our civilians become soldiers. Our entire economy becomes focused on one thing: winning. But surely that's inefficient, one of the young officers said. Surely specialization is better. Professional soldiers should be better than civilians with weapons. Jiwon smiled grimly. You would think so. But here's what the Alliance never understood. On Earth, 47% of all adults have military training. Not because they're professional soldiers, because military service is considered a civic duty. Every human who graduated from university in the last 50 years spent at least 2 years in the defense forces. Do you know what that means? The officers shook their heads. It means when the Alliance threatened us, they weren't threatening our military. They were threatening a civilization where almost half the adult population knows how to fight, how to follow orders, and how to kill efficiently. It means our scientists build weapons. Our engineers design defenses. Our teachers understand tactics. Our doctors can operate under fire. Our entire society is militarized without being a military state. She pulled up casualty reports from the battle. The Alliance expected to fight 3,000 ships. They're actually fighting 30,000. Every mining station in the asteroid belt has weapons. Every research facility has defensive systems. Every civilian transport can convert to a military role in hours. We didn't hide our military from them. We hid our military inside everything else. Dr. Minji entered the tactical center, carrying her data tablet. Commander, the virus has achieved full penetration. Every Alliance ship in the system is compromised. Their communication network is completely under our control. Show them Project Nightmare, Jiwon said. Minji nodded and activated her program. Throughout the Alliance fleet, on every ship, on every display screen, the same images began broadcasting. Earth's wars, human history, the worst moments of humanity's long, bloody climb to the stars. We're showing them who we are, Jiwon explained. We're showing them what humans do to each other when we fight. We're showing them that the Alliance threatened a species that has been perfecting the art of warfare for 10,000 years, not against aliens, against ourselves. The psychological impact on the Alliance fleet was immediate and devastating. Morale collapsed. Ships began surrendering without firing a shot. Others simply fled, ignoring orders, desperate to escape. This is psychological warfare, Jiwon continued. The Alliance doesn't understand it. They fight with honor, with rules, with the assumption that war is a contest between military forces. We fight to win. We fight to break the enemy's will. We fight to make them so terrified of continuing that surrender becomes the only rational choice. An alert sounded. Alliance Marines are attempting to land on Luna, a tactical officer reported. Approximately 50,000 troops in 200 landing craft. Activate Luna defense grid, Jiwon ordered calmly. The young officers watched as the display showed Alliance landing craft descending toward the moon's surface. They were coming in fast using standard assault doctrine, clearly expecting to establish a beachhead and then advance on human positions. They made it to the surface. Some of them even made it out of their landing craft. None of them made it more than 200 meters. The surface of Luna erupted. Automated turrets buried for decades emerged and began firing. Railguns, lasers, missile launchers, plasma cannons. All controlled by networked artificial intelligence that could track thousands of targets simultaneously. All powered by fusion reactors buried deep underground. All designed for exactly this scenario. The Alliance Marines had trained for ground combat. They had powered armor, energy weapons, air support, everything they needed to fight other Alliance species using standard ground warfare doctrine. They had never trained for this. No one had. Because no other species in the galaxy had ever turned an entire moon into an automated killing field. In 12 minutes, it was over. 50,000 Alliance Marines, 200 landing craft, all destroyed, not by human soldiers, by machines that had been waiting patiently for 47 years for someone to be stupid enough to attack Luna. 0 human casualties, the tactical officer reported. Luna defense grid standing by for additional targets. The young officers looked shocked. One of them spoke up. Commander, this is genocide. We're not fighting. We're exterminating them. Ji-won turned to face him. Her expression was hard. You're right. This is extermination. The Alliance threatened to liquidate humanity, to exterminate our species. We're showing them what extermination actually looks like when humans do it. She gestured to the displays. The difference is we can stop whenever we want. We're choosing this. We're choosing to be so ruthless, so efficient, so terrifying that no one will ever threaten humanity again. But, the young officer started. But nothing, Ji-won interrupted. Listen to me carefully. All of you. The Galactic Alliance has 847 member species, 12,000 inhabited star systems, trillions of sentient beings. They looked at humanity, decided we were inconvenient, and voted unanimously to eliminate us. Not imprison us, not restrict us. Eliminate us, our entire species. Every human, every colony, everyone you've ever known. She let that sink in. We tried peace. We tried diplomacy. We followed their rules for 47 years. And the moment they decided we were a problem, they tried to delete us like we were a computer error they needed to fix. So now we're teaching them a lesson they will never forget. We're teaching them that humanity doesn't threaten extinction. Humanity delivers it. Admiral Hyun-sik entered the tactical center. Status report? We've destroyed approximately 18,000 Alliance ships, Ji-won reported. Another 8,000 are damaged and fleeing. The remainder are scattered throughout the outer system, trying to regroup. The Luna assault has been completely repelled with 0 friendly casualties. Excellent, Hyun-sik said. He looked at the young officers. I know this is difficult to watch. I know some of you are questioning whether we're doing the right thing. Let me make something very clear. We are not the villains of this story. We are not the ones who declared war. We are not the ones who threatened genocide. We are simply the ones who were prepared when someone else decided to try. He walked to the center of the room. The Galactic Alliance made 3 critical mistakes. First, they assumed that because we're young, we're weak. Second, they assumed that because we have a violent history, we're stupid. Third, they assumed that because we joined their alliance peacefully, we were sheep who would accept slaughter without resistance. They forgot to ask themselves one simple question, Hyun-sik continued. If humans are so violent, so aggressive, so dangerous, why did we approach the Alliance peacefully in the first place? Why did we follow their rules? Why did we smile and nod while they treated us like primitive children? The officers waited. Hyun-sik smiled that cold smile again. Because we were learning. Every diplomatic meeting, every technology exchange, every visit to Alliance space, we were studying them, learning their weaknesses, understanding their doctrine, preparing for the day when they would inevitably try to eliminate us. You see, the Alliance thought we were lucky primitives who stumbled into space travel. Captain Taeyang pushed his corvette through the outer reaches of the Oort cloud, hunting stragglers. The Alliance fleet was no longer a fleet. It was a mob of panicked ships fleeing in every direction, each one hoping to escape Sol system alive. His job was to make sure they didn't. Contact, Lieutenant Borum said. Large vessel. Command carrier class. It's trying to reach jump velocity. Taeyang checked his sensors. The ship was massive, easily 10 times the size of anything humanity had built. It was accelerating hard, desperate to reach the speed needed for faster-than-light travel. Once it jumped, it would be gone. It would carry word of humanity's capabilities back to Alliance space. That couldn't be allowed. Time to jump? Taeyang asked. 90 seconds, Borum calculated. We can intercept, but it'll be close. Do it, Taeyang ordered. The Silent Phoenix accelerated. The fusion drive pushed them to their maximum speed, racing to catch the fleeing carrier before it could escape. Taeyang's hands moved across his controls, calculating the intercept. He had one shot at this, new tactic, he said. Instead of a single tungsten rod, we're going to fire a cloud. A cloud? Borum looked confused. Ball bearings. Thousands of them. Accelerate them to point 4C and spread them across the carrier's projected path. It's going to fly into them at FTL velocity the moment it tries to jump. Borum understood. The ship will tear itself apart. Exactly, Taeyang said. He loaded the railgun with a canister containing 50,000 steel ball bearings. each one the size of a marble. Small individually, collectively at 40% of light speed, they carried enough kinetic energy to shred anything that touched them. Firing, Taiyang said. The railgun released its payload. The canister flew forward, then exploded, spreading the ball bearings across a volume of space 300 kilometers wide. They were invisible, undetectable, a cloud of death waiting for the carrier to fly into it. The carrier reached jump velocity. Its faster-than-light drive activated, and at that exact moment it hit the cloud. The ship didn't explode. Explosions happened too slowly. Instead, the carrier simply disintegrated. 50,000 impacts at relativistic speeds. Each ball bearing punched through shields, through hull armor, through interior bulkheads, through engines and reactors and life support systems. The massive vessel was reduced to debris in less than a second. Target destroyed, Borum said quietly. No survivors. Taeyang felt nothing. Not triumph. Not guilt. Just a cold professional satisfaction that the mission was complete. 3 months ago, he would have been horrified by what he'd just done. Now it was just another confirmed kill. He wondered what that said about him. Then he decided he didn't care. The Alliance had threatened to liquidate his entire species. They had started this. Humanity was finishing it. Next target, he said. Aboard the Indomitable, Dr. Minji was compiling data. She had spent the last 3 hours recording everything about the battle. Every tactic, every weapon, every human capability that had been revealed. Now she was preparing to broadcast it all. This is insane, Lieutenant Deho said, watching her work. You're going to show them everything? All our capabilities? Our weapons? Our tactics? That's exactly what I'm going to do, Minji replied. She didn't look up from her work. That's the entire point. But why? Don't we want to keep some secrets? Some advantages? Minji finally looked at him. The goal isn't to win this battle. The goal is to make sure we never have to fight another one. We're not just defeating the Alliance. We're terrifying them. We're making them so afraid of humanity that no one will ever threaten us again. She returned to her data compilation. I'm preparing a complete tactical breakdown. Every weapon system. Every strategy. Full schematics of our railgun technology. Detailed analysis of our stealth systems. Performance data on our automated defense grids, everything. You're giving them our secrets, Deho said. No, Minji corrected. I'm showing them that even knowing our secrets won't save them. I'm showing them that humanity's advantage isn't technology. It's mindset. It's preparation. It's the willingness to do whatever is necessary to survive. She finished her compilation and looked at the final package. Hundreds of hours of combat footage. Detailed technical specifications. Kill counts. Efficiency ratings. A complete picture of how humanity had destroyed an Alliance fleet that outnumbered them 13-1. Open a channel, Minji said. All Alliance communication frequencies. I want every ship, every station, every inhabited planet in Alliance space to receive this. Deho worked his console. Channel open. This is going to reach billions of recipients. Maybe trillions. Good, Minji said. She attached a simple message to the data package. To the Galactic Alliance, humanity did not want this war. You forced it upon us. This data package contains complete information about how we destroyed your fleet. Study it, learn from it. Understand that we tried to be your friends. You chose to make us your executioners. Remember this day. Remember what happens when you threaten humanity with extinction. She sent the package. Within seconds, it was propagating across the Alliance communication network, spreading to every system, every world, every ship. Billions of beings would see humanity's capabilities. More importantly, they would see humanity's ruthlessness. Admiral Hyunsik needs to see this, Deho said. He pulled up a new communication. Sir, we're receiving a direct transmission from Counselor Vrix. He's asking to speak with you personally. On the bridge, Hyunsik considered this. Vrix, the alien who had declared humanity's extinction just 5 hours ago. Now he wanted to talk. Put him through, Hyunsik said. The hologram appeared. Counselor Vrix looked very different now. His bright feathers were disheveled. His eyes were wide with fear. His beak trembled as he spoke. Admiral Hyunsik, please, I'm begging you. Stop this, we surrender. Complete surrender. Unconditional. Just please, stop destroying our ships. Hyunsik studied the alien. You declared war at dawn. You threatened to liquidate my species. You gave us 6 hours to surrender or die. Now you want mercy? We made a mistake, Vrix said desperately. A terrible mistake. We didn't understand. We didn't know. Please, we're willing to negotiate. Any terms. Anything you want. Anything I want, Yunsik repeated. He stood up, walking closer to the hologram. I want the dissolution of the Galactic Alliance. I want every species to govern itself independently. I want humanity to have oversight authority to ensure no species ever attempts genocide against another again. And I want the Vrixian ascendancy to be the first to disarm. Vrix's eyes widened further. You can't. The Alliance has maintained peace for 5,000 years. If you dissolve it, there will be chaos, war, suffering. The Alliance maintained peace by threatening to exterminate anyone who caused problems, Yunsik said. That's not peace. That's tyranny. You proved that today when you unanimously voted to liquidate humanity because you found us inconvenient. But the chaos, Vrix started, will be prevented by humanity, Yunsik interrupted. We will enforce a new order. Not through threats of extinction, through the promise of protection. Any species that attempts genocide will face humanity's response. Any species that attacks the helpless will face humanity's response. Any species that tries to build a new empire will face humanity's response. You're making yourselves rulers of the galaxy, Vrix said. No, Yunsik corrected. We're making ourselves the galaxy's wardens. You wanted to be our superiors. Instead, you've made us your guards. You've made us the species that enforces rules you couldn't enforce yourselves. You've made us the violence that prevents other violence. Vrix was silent for a long moment. Then quietly, what about my people? The Vrixian ascendancy led the vote against you. Will you exterminate us? Yunsik considered this. The Vrixians had started this war. They had pushed for humanity's extinction. By every measure, they deserved what they were about to receive. No, Yunsik said finally. We won't exterminate your species. But you will disarm. You will place yourself under human supervision, and you will serve as a warning to every other species in the galaxy. You will be the example of what happens when someone threatens humanity. Not dead, but diminished. Not eliminated, but humiliated. Living proof that we are not monsters. But also living proof that we are not to be challenged. The transmission ended. Vrix's hologram vanished. Around the bridge, the crew was silent. They had all heard what their admiral had just promised. Humanity was no longer just defending itself. Humanity was taking responsibility for the entire galaxy. Sir, Commander G1 said quietly, the Alliance will hate us for this. Good, Yunsik replied. Better to be hated and feared than loved and destroyed. The Alliance had its chance to treat us as equals. Instead, they tried to exterminate us. Now they'll spend the next 1,000 years living under the protection of the species they tried to eliminate. Current status? Yunsik asked. G1 checked her displays. Enemy ships destroyed. 34,247. Enemy ships captured or disabled. 4,128. Enemy ships that successfully fled to Alliance space. 1,625. And our losses? Total casualties 89 ships. Most of those were older vessels we deliberately used as bait. Minimal crew losses due to evacuation protocols. Yunsik nodded. At exactly noon, Earth Standard Time, Admiral Yunsik stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and looked at Earth rising over the Martian horizon. 6 hours ago, the Galactic Alliance had declared war and threatened to exterminate humanity. Now the Alliance fleet was destroyed, scattered, or fleeing. The war was over. Humanity had won. But Yunsik knew this was only the beginning. Broadcast ready, Lieutenant Deho reported. All human colonies, stations, and vessels are standing by. We're also transmitting to every Alliance frequency we control. Estimated audience, 4 billion humans, 300 billion Alliance citizens. Yunsik nodded. He had spent the last hour writing this speech. Every word mattered. Every sentence would be analyzed by billions of beings across the galaxy. This was humanity's moment to define itself. To explain what it was, what it wanted, and what it would do to anyone who threatened it again. Begin transmission, he said. Deho activated the broadcast. Yunsik spoke clearly, calmly, as if he were simply stating facts rather than reshaping galactic civilization. People of Earth. Members of the Galactic Alliance. 6 hours ago, the Alliance Council declared war on humanity. They gave us until noon to surrender completely or face total extinction. It is now noon. We did not surrender. Instead, we destroyed 96% of their invasion fleet. We did this not because we are monsters. We did this because we are survivors. We did this because we will never accept extinction quietly." He paused, letting that sink in. Across the galaxy, trillions of beings were listening, some with fear, some with respect, some with hatred. All of them were paying attention. For 47 years, humanity has been a member of the Galactic Alliance. We followed your rules. We accepted your judgment. We smiled while you treated us like primitive children who were lucky to be allowed in your presence. We did this because we wanted peace. We did this because we hoped that civilized beings could coexist peacefully. We did this because we believed in the ideals your alliance claimed to represent. Today, you showed us what you really think of those ideals. When humanity became inconvenient, you voted unanimously to liquidate us. Not imprison us. Not restrict us. Exterminate us. Our entire species. Every man, woman, and child. You decided that genocide was an acceptable solution to a political problem. Hyun-sik's voice hardened. You made 3 critical mistakes. First, you assumed we were weak because we are young. You forgot that young species are often the most dangerous. We haven't learned to be cautious yet. We haven't learned to accept limitations. We're still the species that looks at impossible problems and refuses to accept that they're impossible. Second, you looked at our history and saw savagery. You saw all our wars and assumed we were violent animals who needed to be controlled or eliminated. You never asked yourselves why a species that unified its planet did so through centuries of warfare. You never wondered what we learned from all that killing. You never considered that a species that perfected the art of warfare against itself might be very, very good at warfare against others. Third, and most importantly, you assumed that because we joined your alliance peacefully, we were sheep. You thought we were grateful primitives who would accept any treatment because we were too weak to resist. You never asked yourselves why we approached peacefully. You never realized we were studying you, learning your weaknesses, preparing for the day when you would inevitably try to destroy us. He let silence fill the channel for a moment, then continued. The Galactic Alliance is finished. Not because humanity destroyed it by force, but because you destroyed it by revealing its true nature. You proved that your alliance was never about cooperation or peace. It was about control. It was about maintaining power by threatening anyone who challenged that power with extinction. That ends today. Humanity will not permit the alliance to continue. Every species will govern itself. Every civilization will control its own destiny. There will be no more unanimous votes for genocide. There will be no more threats of liquidation. There will be no more extinction by committee decision. Dr. Minji entered the bridge, tablet in hand, listening to the broadcast. She knew what was coming next. The part that would define humanity's future for centuries. Instead, Hyun-sik continued, humanity will enforce a new order. We will not rule you. We will not control you. We will not tell you how to govern yourselves or what to believe. But we will ensure that no species ever again uses genocide as a political tool. We will ensure that no civilization attempts to build an empire by exterminating others. We will ensure that the strong do not simply eliminate the weak because it's convenient. If you attempt genocide, humanity will stop you. If you attack the helpless, humanity will stop you. If you try to enslave or exterminate another species, humanity will stop you. And we will stop you with the same efficiency and ruthlessness you saw today. We will not give warnings. We will not offer chances for negotiation. We will simply end the threat permanently. Commander G1 watched the tactical displays. Across Alliance space, the reaction was immediate. Some species were broadcasting acceptance. Others were protesting. Still others were silent, calculating their options. But all of them understood the message. Humanity was no longer asking for permission. Humanity was imposing its will. You wanted to know what humanity really is, Hyun-sik said. Now you know. We are the species that refused to die. We are the species that turned your extermination fleet into debris. We are the species that will spend the next 1,000 years making sure no other species faces the threat you aimed at us. Some of you will call us tyrants. Some will call us saviors. Some will simply call us terrifying. All of these are true. We are whatever we need to be to ensure survival. Not just our survival. Everyone's survival. Because we learned something from our own history that you clearly never learned. We learned that extinction is permanent. We learned that genocide cannot be undone. We learned that preventing mass death is worth being hated by those who wanted to cause it. Captain Taeyang listened from his corvette, still hunting the last scattered Alliance ships. The speech resonated with him. This was why they had fought so hard. Not for territory, not for resources, for the right to exist without asking permission. The Vrixian ascendancy led the vote to exterminate humanity. Hyun-sik continued. They will be the first to learn what happens when you threaten us. We will not destroy them. We will not eliminate them. Instead, they will live under human supervision. They will disarm. They will serve as a living example to every species in the galaxy. An example that shows we are not monsters who kill for pleasure, but also an example that shows we are not weak enough to forgive attempted genocide. Counselor Vrix, listening from his damaged flagship, felt his entire civilization's future collapse. The Vrixian ascendancy had been a major power for 3,000 years. Now they would be subordinate to a species that was barely 50 years old in space. The humiliation was complete. To the species who voted against us, Hyun-sik said, you have a choice. Accept the new order. Govern yourselves peacefully and humanity will never interfere with your internal affairs. Or resist and learn what the Alliance fleet learned today. We are giving you this choice once. Choose wisely. To the species who abstained or voted against our extinction, Hyun-sik continued, humanity remembers. We remember who stood by while others called for our death. We remember who was willing to let genocide happen without protest. You are not our enemies, but you are not our friends. You are on probation. Prove that you deserve to govern yourselves. Prove that you can coexist peacefully, or join the Vrixians in supervised existence. Dr. Minji activated her own broadcast, piggybacking on Hyun-sik's channel. This is Dr. Minji, Chief Science Officer of the Earth Defense Force. I am releasing complete technical specifications for all weapons used in today's battle. Railgun schematics, stealth system designs, automated defense grid architectures, viral warfare techniques, everything. Across the galaxy, scientists and military analysts scrambled to receive the data. This was unprecedented. Species never shared their weapons technology, never revealed their capabilities. Minji was breaking every rule of galactic warfare. I am releasing this information for one reason, Minji continued. So you understand that even knowing how we won won't help you defeat us. Our advantage is not secret technology. Our advantage is preparation. It's mindset. It's the willingness to do whatever is necessary. You can copy our weapons. You can study our tactics. You can try to match our capabilities. And you will still lose. Because humanity doesn't just build weapons to match enemies. We build weapons to delete enemies. We build redundancies for redundancies. We prepare for scenarios that seem paranoid, and then we prepare for worse scenarios than that. She closed her transmission. The message was clear. Humanity was not hiding its strength. Humanity was so confident in its superiority that it could reveal everything and still remain dominant. Hyun-sik concluded his broadcast. The Galactic Alliance declared war at dawn. By noon, humanity had already won, but our true victory will be measured in centuries to come, not by the wars we fight, but by the wars we prevent, not by the species we conquer, but by the species we protect from conquest, not by the fear we inspire, but by the safety that fear creates.